So today I'm going to be teaching you guys about the types of places, okay, that pretty much guarantee that you'll find overnight parking. If you're doing van life, living on the road, doing your camper van, your mobile base camp, as we refer to it at DIY Camper Build, and you're doing it, at least for an extended period of time. So you want to be able to find at least one spot that you can count on, get some good rest, and do what you got to do. So I'm going to start with the first type of space where you're pretty much guaranteed, okay, in any city. Obviously, major cities are probably excluded from this one. It would have to be some sort of neighboring city, or like usually there's like a water stream, and maybe the city across might have a little bit more access. But I'm going to talk about marinas, okay, or areas where there are marinas or lots of them. So usually those areas, and I'll give you two concrete examples. Over here in Quebec/Ontario, you have Quebec City, and then you have Gatineau. Both have streets, or like major streets, near the main waterway, which in Ottawa, Gatineau is the Ottawa River. And in Gatineau, you have an entire street with marinas, and there are lots of parkings, literally even with toilets, garbages, all of that stuff, where you see RVs that are parked and there's no restrictions, okay? And there's very little surveillance in that area. And that seems to be a general tendency with marinas or areas with marinas. Same thing in Quebec City. And the street in Gatineau I'm talking about is Jacques Cartier Street. So you could look on another good tip actually is there's an app called Park 4 Night. Okay, the number 4 is and not the letters 4. So that app actually, those spots are in there, and it shows you the spots that you can park overnight, where most likely a lot of other van lifers and people who are camping, RVers, staying in the area are doing it. So in Quebec City, the street is called Samuel de Champlain. So that's a very long street. And there's actually a parking lot that even the city of Quebec, it's on their website, tells you that is basically a spot where you can park your RV or camper. It's first come, first serve, unlimited parking. There's no restrictions. So if you have a spot, you can keep it for the week if you want. So once again, that spot is on Park 4 Night as well. You can check it out yourself. And both those spots, what they have in common is they're around or near marinas or on a street where there's a main waterway. So if you're completely at a loss, the first place to look is those major waterways, and you'll find some spots to park overnight for sure. Now, the second category of spots, and this one is really if you're in a major city and there is none of that, even the marinas are super well guarded, or there's no spots to actually park. So the second category is industrial areas. Every city has them, and sometimes multiple. So you're always going to find parking there. It won't be the nicest, okay? It won't be like waking up next to the water, or where there's a bike path where you can walk and beautiful views. But if you're get somewhere really late and you just don't have time, head to the nearest industrial area, and you'll be able to park there overnight, no problem. There's a lot of spots. They'll fill up by daytime because employees are going to come in, and that's where they'll park. There's usually very little to no restrictions overnight, and nobody's going to find you there, especially if you got a van like mine that basically looks like a delivery van. It's stealthy. You'll fit right in. You'll blend right in. Nobody's going to know that you're camping there. They're just going to think you're another work truck. So that's if you haven't checked out the video, I made one on why you're making van life more difficult for yourself. And one of the reasons is if you stick out like a sore thumb. But in this case, we don't. Industrial areas are our safe havens. So those are the two types of spots that you can find in pretty much any major city where there's more than likely to be a spot for you to camp overnight or sleep in your van, because it's not really camping. But actually those spots in Gatineau and Quebec I talked about, you can basically set up camp. You can have your awning, you can have an RV, and if RVs are parking there, you're gonna have no problem with a converted camper van.
All right, guys, that's it for this one. If you're building something that's meant to last, whether it's a camper van, a business, or just a better way of living, I'm glad you're here. Everything I use, recommend, or offer is linked in the description. Take what works, build your own blueprint, and I'll see you in the next one.